The Spin-off Podcast Network. You're listening to Business is Boring, a podcast that reckons it's anything but. Business is Boring is brought to you by Spark Lab, offering inspiration and practical advice to help businesses find their edge. To hear more about Spark Lab, including details about the latest events, workshops, and business tools, visit sparklab.co.nz. And now, here's your host, Simon Pound.
Kia ora koutou katoa, and welcome to Business is Boring. There are a few things we do today that we'll look back on and wonder what we were up to, like with lead pipes or asbestos everything. And one of those might just be something we're surrounded by, but think about very little. Paint has been made from toxic and petro-chemical ingredients, and one local business looked at this situation and decided we needed to do better. Natural Paint Co. began when a nurse and a recent graduate working in the paint industry realised how far the status quo was from their values and went about sourcing, manufacturing and selling natural paints and coatings. They've grown online from values match and word of mouth, and to talk the journey, where they're going next and what the problem is with paint, co-founders Grace Glass and James Mount join us now. Tēnā koroa, thank you for being here.
Hi, thanks for having us.
Hey, so tell me about your path into the industry. So, Grace, you were working in nursing, right? Like, how did you get in there, and how do you go from that world to this amazing world of making a company like this?
Yeah, super interesting, right? And not one that I imagined I would be in, probably as a young girl. Owning a paint company and challenging the way we do paint wasn't something I thought I would do. But so I was working as a nurse, and I was working in the emergency department, super passionate about people's health and wellness and well-being, had always been from such a young age. And then James, my business partner, co-founder, fell into the paint industry after he left university. And we really realised there just how toxic the paint industry actually was and how reliant on petrochemicals it really was, and that nobody here in New Zealand was really challenging the status quo. And we were reducing chemicals in our own lives. I had started moving to natural makeup, natural skincare, and could really see that industries were moving and changing, and that things could be natural without having that compromise, right? And then at the same time, research had come out from the EPA to say that our indoor air quality is 2 to 5 times more polluted than the air outside, and that when a room is freshly painted, it's up to 1,000 times more polluted than the air outside. And so James and I really thought, well, we need to kind of do something about this. This is an issue that hasn't been solved. So at the really young age of 22, we decided that we would look to Germany, because that was the world-leading space at the time for natural coatings. And we started importing products from Germany. And we got them here to New Zealand and just realised that the quality just wasn't good enough to stand up to what really we would need here in New Zealand. As Kiwis, DIYs, we really like high-quality products that we know they work and that they trust, and we don't actually DIY as frequently as, say, like European countries do. And so we really knew that if we wanted to make a goer of this, we would have to have 3 things align. We knew that we wanted the health aspect, so that they were non-toxic and healthy. We knew that sustainability was super, super important, and we knew that the quality had to line up. And so after we tried and tested them here, we just knew that they weren't going to work. So we sought out some of New Zealand's top paint chemists, and then started this journey of really creating Natural Paint Co. From scratch. So starting with a few products and then building it all the way up to now that we have a whole house range of timber oils and paints. That came out a bit wrong, didn't it?
No, awesome. And then, what was it like to decide, because if you're 22 and you've put all that work into becoming a nurse, which is so hard, and it's like even just getting into the rhythms of ED. My sister-in-law is an ED nurse, and that's incredibly hard to get in and get all that. Was it a hard decision to kind of step out of that?
Yeah, I love this question. It really was. At the time, I had put everything into becoming a nurse and graduating. I really felt that was kind of going to be my career path, and I was going to do all of these sorts of wonderful, beautiful things in that career. And I didn't come from a lot, and for me, providing myself with a really like stable, independent career that I could have was super important to me. And so then quitting that and going into something super unstable seems like such a juxtaposition. But hey, it's been one of the best decisions I've ever made and the biggest journey. But at the time, I didn't actually just go straight into business. I ended up saying to James, well, if we're going to do this and I'm going to leave my career and we're going to go full time, I'm going to go travelling. So I skipped the country for 3 months and spent all my money because I was like, I've got to go out and do the OE experience, and then came back. And I think so. We started when we were 22, but I came on board full time 5 years ago. Yeah.
Wow. And I mean, I guess there's always the possibility to go back if you ever need to, and the world's there. But I love those kind of turning points in life, hey. And James, so you were in the paint industry, and like. Yeah, you were mentioning a little bit, Grace, there about kind of like what the status quo is with paint, but we don't really think about it a lot, eh? Because it's just all around us. Like, what is the paint industry really like?
Yeah, it's a great question. We have such a passive relationship with paint. We're surrounded by, almost every building we're in, and we spend 90% of our time indoors. So we're constantly surrounded by it, and being in environments where we could be breathing in what is off-gassing from paints, and so. Yeah, for us it was about really looking at something that can be done better. As Grace mentioned, around indoor air quality, and then also the paint industry has its roots in the petrochemical industry. After World War II, sort of utilising petroleum that was left over, and although it has changed over time, it still has a lot of its roots in that space. And if nobody's challenging it, why would they make changes if it's working?
Yeah, what is it made of? Like, what's in the average tin of paint?
Yeah, another great question. One thing there's certain things we do know and certain things we don't know. What we do know is the studied effects of paints. So in terms of like health effects, and also indoor air quality. The tricky part with paints is that you don't have to disclose the ingredients, especially in New Zealand. So you can have a myriad of chemicals, a lot of chemicals with very long names, thousands of chemicals which can be in products and don't need to be disclosed. So what we're doing differently is we're making sure that we're only using products which have no nasty ingredients, no harmful chemicals on people, and we're disclosing those on the can. So the same way you go down to the supermarket and pick up a packet of food and you can see exactly what's in it, read the ingredients, see what you're going to be putting into your body. We disclose that on our containers as well, so that you know what you're going to be breathing in during the application, then also after. So paints can off-gas for up to 10 years.
Yeah. And this is going to sound like a very dumb question, but like, what makes paint work? Like is it kind of like some sticky stuff in a colour? Like, what even is paint?
Yeah, sure. So some core ingredients. You've got binders, fillers, dryers, usually made on like an acrylic or petrochemical resin, which is sort of where you get like the body of the properties, and then you've also got usually a solvent in there, which is either water, or for an oil-based product, it might be like terps or something like that. And then also usually clays and chalks, which might give it body or give it washability or coverage, things like that. So for us, it was really about, can we create products which have more of the good stuff and the really high-quality stuff, and then we don't have to put cheap chemical fillers in? And that was essentially the task that we gave to the chemists that we approached in New Zealand. So it was about really reducing down where a product could have 1,000 ingredients. Most of our paints have about 10. And then we've put more of the really high-quality ingredients in. So more of the main resins, and we're using a really high-quality blended plant resin. And then by utilising that, you don't then need all the other dryers and fillers and chemical. You can even have chemical masking agents, which are literally in a paint to stop it smelling so much of chemicals, but it's a chemical you put in that people are breathing in. It's really reducing all that down and going back to simplicity, but also like really high quality simplicity.
Yeah, is this going to be one of the things that, you look back and you're like, oh, I can't believe that, they rubbed mercury into hats, and I can't believe they had lead pipes. Are people going to be like, I can't believe that everyone painted when they were got a kid on the way and they'd paint the nursery just before it arrived, just to give them a good old off-gassing experience.
100%. Yeah, I mean, even paints have had that, right? Asbestos, lead. We're putting lead in paints, and we thought it was fine 50 years ago. Same with asbestos, and then now we're paying the price of, having to change that. And although those ingredients aren't used anymore, I think in 10, 20 years' time, we'll see a lot more research being done about this. And I think it's gaining momentum in all industries. It's not just paint; it's in the food as well. The amount of hidden chemicals in our foods that we're starting to actually look at now seriously. Like Grace said, like makeup, skincare, all of it. Absolutely, yeah. And I think paint's a big one.
Yeah, tell us about that process of how you go from that insight that, we're all off to, these paint stores a couple of times a weekend when we're doing DIY, and then, living in these poison environments, to actually kind of like getting, winning over like chemists to work with you, and what's the process there?
Yeah, that was quite an interesting, quite a fun process. I mean, because as we said, we looked to Germany because we knew that they were the world leaders in this space, and then knowing that sustainability was super important to us and the ethos of our company. And so we really knew we wanted to make them here in New Zealand if we were going to approach some chemists. And so, we sought out New Zealand's best paint chemists. They've been working in the industry for over 40 years. And really we gave them directive was we wanted to make the world's best paint that is better for people and the planet. And it's pretty easy to get excited about a directive like that, right? When you know, and when you've been working in the industry and that it's not good for us, it hasn't got sustainable practices behind it. They were really on board, and we are partnered with them, and we've now got around 15 products that we send all throughout New Zealand and into Australia. So we've worked really, really hard over the past 7 years to develop like a full house system. So you don't, there's not almost any situation when you're going to do a project where you can't use Natural Paint Co. for that.
How do you go through the development and testing process there? Petrochemicals, they're terrible, but they're very well understood. Everyone knows how to use them. There's so much research behind them. Is it kind of like scary even for a 40-year veteran to go, I won't use my normal palette of things?
Yeah, I guess it probably was to begin with, but with any challenge, it's really rewarding, right? And so, all of our interior paints have a 25-year interior guarantee, which is actually the longest in the industry. That's how, backed our products are, that we believe that they work. And we put them through a lot of vigorous testing. We've stress tested all of the products. The manufacturers are very behind all of this, and also with a lot of the technology. It's New Zealand first, but it has been tried in other places around the world, and with the plant resins and the ingredients that are used, they work. James can probably speak a little bit more to this question as well, I imagine.
Yeah, we've done a lot of testing with it, and also customer feedback. So when we first released the products, we had a very good feedback loop with our clients to be able to get feedback on how they felt the products were performing, what was important to them. Like washability is a really big one in New Zealand. We want to be able to put paint up. We want it to last a long time because we only want to do it once. But also when the kids get their mucky fingers on the walls, or the walls get damaged, we want to be able to wipe it clean really easily. So that was something where our first product we put out was more of like a matte finish, but then we did more product development and created a low sheen, which was that really washable, easy to clean finish as well. And then it's been a lot of customer feedback and iteration from there.
And how do you go about doing that? Because getting the chemists involved, doing practice runs, displacing massive petrochemical industries who have all kinds of margin and all the rest. How do you go about kind of is there government support, or how have you done that?
Well, I guess another thing to add to what you said was a lot of chemicals are in products to make them cheaper, or just sometimes out of sheer laziness, because it's let's just create the cheapest product we can and then charge the most we can for it. And so there's technology out there that has been out there and is constantly evolving, that we've utilised, where when putting more of the good stuff in and not putting the chemicals in, which make the product cheaper. But good to go back to your other question. A product is only the beginning, right? That doesn't create a business. So that was the next part, was we need to create a business with this product or this idea that we have and actually make it financially viable, and create a business around it, which is a whole other kettle of fish because neither of us came from a business background.
Let's come back after the break and hear how you went around building the business and making Natural Paint Co. what it is today. Spark is proud to partner with the Sustainable Business Network and the Climate Action Toolbox. The free Climate Action Toolbox can provide you with simple step-by-step guides to measure and reduce your emissions. Help lead the way to a low-carbon future for New Zealand. Visit sparklab.co.nz/sustainability to find out more.
Raising capital or taking your business to the world? Investment Fix has the lowdown on everything you need to make it happen. This season, we're exploring the US market, the opportunities it offers, what it takes to grow a business there, and the best way to approach investors. Join some of the superstars of the investment and business world as they share advice from their time in the US so you can make your mahi count in this massive market. The Investment Fix podcast, brought to you by Invest New Zealand. Tune in today.
Ready to rediscover the joys of cycling? With over 300 kilometres of cycle paths across Tāmaki Makaurau, jumping on your bike and going for a ride is such a fun way to discover the city from a different perspective. Cycling is getting more and more popular across Auckland, so now's a great time to join the hype and give cycling a go. Head to at.govt/cycling to find your nearest cycleway today.
We're back with James Mount and Grace Glass of Natural Paint Co. And so, tell me, how do you go about starting a company, getting those first customers, convincing people to try something that, it's so obviously better, right? Like anyone who's walked into a freshly painted room knows that there's something not good going on.
Yeah, it's not so fresh, is it?
Not so good. But how do you go about getting people to kind of trust you?
Yeah, this is the fun part, the fun part that I like about how we got started and the journey of Natural Paint Co. So, like all the ingredients and how we developed the product, we also decided that we were going to distribute the product differently as well. And so being millennials or young millennials, we knew that online was really going to take off, and we could just see that like other industries were starting to move online. And when we started the company, we started on a $20,000 loan. So, that doesn't go very far in setting up like a traditional brick and mortar store or anything like that. And so really, we felt that the only approach we could take was to take it online. And so during my free time, like when I wasn't working as a nurse, I built our first online platform. Took me over 100 hours. I cannot code at all. And it was on Weebly, which for anyone out there who knows what that is, it's the most basic of online platforms you can possibly build. And that's where we started. So we put up some pretty awful pictures of our paint cans, which is not what they look like now, and put up some awful paint-made swatches of our colours online, and we started doing some basic keywords and AdWords, and that's how we started. And we sold some pails of paint, and within the first year we were profitable. And then we've grown 50% year on year, and we've just reinvested back into the company, keeping on growing. And so the question before the break was there any government support? We haven't sought government support. We've kind of done it all on our own. Apart from last year, we went out to market and raised $1.4 million in capital, and we did that through what was it called? The words just escaped me. Crowdfunding. And we brought on 184 investors from around New Zealand and a few other countries around the world to really back what Natural Paint Co's doing and done. And so, we've really grown from there this past year with that. Yeah, and so that's how we started.
That's so cool that there's that demand out there for that. And then, how do you sell it in an online first way? So, like, if everyone just probably goes, I need a test pot, and I'll wander into a store and see a massive booklet with 1,000 things. Yeah. How do you break that kind of pattern?
I don't know. Do you want to speak to that, James, or do you want?
Yeah, I can talk a little bit about it. It's changing consumer buying behaviours is always a challenge. The biggest challenge for us was awareness. So it was getting the brand in front of people, and it was getting the brand in front of people before they're standing in a hardware store about to buy some paint. So there was a lot of awareness done, through AdWords, Facebook, social media channels like that. And then I think also the word of mouth really helped grow the company, because when people had, used the products and had a really good experience, then they, go and tell 5 of their friends, and then it sort of snowballs from there. I think, and being online had a lot of advantages for us. We could be really close to our customers, which allowed us to have that really open feedback. And we also, this is a lot of Grace's department, but created a brand on like real simplicity. So not only is, the paint industry quite heavily reliant on chemicals, but it's also quite overwhelming. You don't paint that often in your life. And for some reason, the industry is sort of geared towards expecting us to become an expert on a topic which, we're not an expert on, or a lot of people aren't, for a short period of time to be able to paint a room or do some DIY projects. And it is really overwhelming. There's so many different weirdly named products for different areas of the house. And so when we started, we really wanted to just reimagine the way a paint company or a coatings company could go to market, and how it could offer something different for the clients. And so the products are one thing in terms of the health and sustainability and quality, but it was also, can we really simplify things so that, when people approach us, they don't have to become an expert. They're really empowered to be able to jump online, see the products, and then be able to get what they need. A lot of people know the job that they're doing or the area they're painting, but not necessarily the specific product that they need. So for us, we have, like one product, like our wall paint, which is for like all interior walls, and then we have a ceiling paint, and then we've got a paint for like bathroom and trim and doors, rather than having some companies have like a paint for a hallway, and then a paint for a bedroom, and then a paint for a kitchen. There's so many options. So keeping it simple, and then it also meant that you could, buy a 10-litre bucket of paint, it would do 2 or 3 rooms in multiple areas of the house without needing to get a whole lot of different ones. And then I guess the other big thing with selecting paint is colour, and that's been has been a fun challenge, because people are used to seeing colour charts or physical colour swatches. So we've really been quite innovative in the online space. We display colour in a way that no other paint company in the world does, and really making it as accurate as possible on a screen, but then people can narrow down their colour choice and order test pots directly from us that arrive overnight. They're $5 each, free shipping. You get a paintbrush with it, and you also get swatch cards where you can paint out the test pot onto these swatch cards and move them around the house. So you don't have to necessarily put it against the wall, put it up on the wall, and then you put it on the wall. You're really committed to painting then. So it was making it as easy as possible for people, and then having a really good sort of customer service, side of the business as well. We were really hands on to be able to help people, choose colour, or also help them like work out quantities, work out product that they need, and then when they do need to order, they'll have it in their home in 2 to 3 working days.
Yeah, awesome. And how about colour? Like, now is it white? Is it half white? Is it alabaster white? Is it, have you taken a different approach to that?
We absolutely have. Yeah. So we only have 150 colours, highly curated. All of our colours go together. They all match. We only have something like 5 whites, because you don't need 1,000 whites to choose from. Paradox of choice is super real, especially in today's day and age. We're overwhelmed with decisions. We've all got decision fatigue. And so that was a huge part of kind of the customer service aspect as well, is that the colour consults, they're helping people feel really comfortable with their colour choices, and by having us as the experts, I guess, in this space, like really narrowing down those choices, have really helped people along that journey. And the 150 colours that we offer is all the colours that you need, and we really do find that people love our colour range. Very unique and natural looking and feel.
And is it exclusively online, or do you have like retail partners? Or
we're 100% exclusive online currently, but watch this space. We've got some big things coming. Yeah,
awesome. And so across the kind of like you mentioned a little bit there the crowdfunding. Tell us about that process. As I imagine, if you've been like bootstrapping it and doing it yourself and reinvesting and having that kind of like capital must be really great, but also that vote of confidence that there's a community around it and people wanting it to work and stuff, right?
Yeah. It was a cool moment, hey James. Like it took us about 8 months, the total process of raising, just for anyone out there who's thinking about starting a business. It's quite a big journey. So it took us about 8 months from starting kind of like signing the documents that we were going to raise and to getting the money into our account. Quite a big decision on like how much to raise, how much equity, valuation, all of that kind of side. And quite like an expensive process to do all the legal side and get it all set up and things like that. And then which way to raise, there's lots of different ways that you can raise capital. And we were actually going to go down a different route. And then quite last minute, we decided that we wanted to do crowdfunding. And that's because I really felt that our brand had always been built on the people, and we built this brand for the people and for our communities because we wanted them to have access to a healthier product that is better for people and the planet. And we really felt that because we had created this product and the feedback we get on the products is just insane. This is the best paint I've ever used. I'll never use another brand. Oh my gosh, this is the holy grail of paint. And paint is really boring. Paint is normally really boring. And we've made paint really cool. And so we just knew that, we really felt that we wanted to give New Zealanders in particular the opportunity to really be a part of something that's growing and make such a difference to their lives. And so that was really a big part for us, and it really did give us that vote of confidence that people believe in this product and they backed it. And we raised $1.4 million. That's not an insignificant amount of money from everyday Kiwis, and because they love the brand. Yeah, it's really cool.
But also looking at what you've done, that's a very tiny amount of money compared to,
it actually is. Guys, raise more money.
But to try and create an alternative to, a petrochemical-based industry that has these secret subsidies and, super cheap fillers and all the rest of it, it's not a big war chest to kind of take on the
it's a bit of David and Goliath situation, isn't it?
Yeah, but that's so cool. You must be so capital efficient to have got there to that point as well. And along the way, is there anything you'd kind of wish you'd known earlier, or things that are?
Oh gosh,
so many things.
Be careful what you say.
You both just totally recoiled. It was
Everything takes a lot longer than you expect and costs a lot more money than you expect. And I think you've got to be patient with that. It's really easy to have really big aspirations, but you've got to make sure that your capabilities are equal to, if there's an aspiration line that's a big exponential line going up, you've got to make sure that your capabilities are also closing that gap between aspiration and capability. Sometimes things just do take time and cost more, but it can be worth it as well. I think a big one for us was maybe something we did well, but we also, in hindsight, would probably do quicker, was surrounding ourselves with some good external, people who have experience. I would put a caveat to that. I think that it is still good to trust yourself and trust your own intuition, your own instinct, but I think it is good to crowdsource information from people who have a wide range of experience and then run it through your own sort of filter of what feels right for your business, because nobody will know your business like you know it. That's also something that we maybe ignored at times. Surrounding yourself with good advisors. And there are so many people who are willing to help. Don't trust blindly, but there are so many people who are willing to help because maybe they see a little bit of themselves in you, or they've been down a similar journey before. And so reaching out, you'll be surprised at how many people are willing to offer, even if it's just like a coffee and an hour chat. Some of our greatest levels of insight have been from literally a 1 hour conversation with somebody, and they probably didn't even realize they said anything that profound, but for us it was like a light bulb moment. I would definitely say that.
Well, they're great ones, James. I really agree with you, James, with I think one of our biggest kind of advantages was our naivety. I think starting at super young, we really felt like we didn't have much to lose kind of when we were kind of starting that up, and, this little boutique-y online paint company that we started and have grown it into the household brand that it is. Something I think that we always have tried to live by but wish we had known earlier was that perfection is the killer of progress. And I think there's still times that we fall into that, but a lot at the beginning we really felt that a lot of the things had to be perfect before taking it to market, and like in terms of branding and the way it looked and felt, and and the better way to approach it is kind of just get it out there, test, get your customer feedback, go again. Something else I wish that we'd maybe known earlier is potentially not taking so many products to market all in one go. However, that is quite difficult when owning a coatings company that we've created, because all the products are interrelated, right? Like you have to have the undercoat to have the top coat, the wall paints, etc. But sometimes that's challenging, because rather than kind of going vertical, sometimes you're going a little bit horizontal, right? Like to try and market and get all of the products out there and the knowledge and the base, because as James was saying that, barely anyone is an expert in paint, and so we shouldn't be. I mean, don't become an expert in paint. It's not really that interesting, really.
I find it interesting.
James loves it. Do not ask him certain questions. He will go on forever. But, I think, you really want to be going vertical with certain things and things that work. And so the only way to do that is to be close to your customers.
And 50% of our business is also oils.
Yes.
Like natural timber oils, varnish alternatives. That is half of what we do. So we didn't just start a paint company; we started a natural timber oil company as well. Yeah. So the whole shebang.
So that'd probably be mine. My probably biggest one is perfection is the killer of progress.
And where are you heading next? As you've managed to build an enormous amount in a short period of time. Like, this trajectory keeps going. Like, where do we see Natural Paint Co. in 5 years' time? Like, what's on the plans?
Cool.
Yeah. Well, in the next 4 to 6 months, we are going to capital raise again to keep driving growth. And we see Natural Paint Co. as being a product, or being a company that, products that should be available to everybody, both in New Zealand and also internationally as well. So we definitely want to take this global. We've already started with a little bit into Australia, but we have some real aspirations and some plans to take some key products internationally. To the US and potentially to Asia as well, and then also to Aussie. COVID slowed the plans to Australia down a little bit, but now that landscape's changing, that's a really big one for us. And then, really growing it here in New Zealand as well, even more. We've been very e-commerce focused, and we're looking at expanding our distribution methods as well. Keep an eye out on that. And, our big goal here in New Zealand is to make Natural Paint Co. Everybody who's thinking about painting in New Zealand to consider Natural Paint Co. as an option. It's a big aspiration for us.
Yeah, I completely agree with all of those. Yeah.
Love it. And just a couple of questions we like to ask everyone. What would your advice be for anyone who sees like a really big problem like this and decides to try and kind of like to take it on? Well,
when we went into it, we were like, we'll do it for a couple of years and then we'll be out, we'll just give it a try. And we love it so much, we'd never want to be out, but I guess it does come back to be prepared for the hard work and the hustle. It's extremely rewarding, but it is an absolute roller coaster. Anybody in business will tell you it's a roller coaster. It has really big highs, and then it has a lot of challenge as well. And there can be a lot of times when you think your back's against the wall, but I think those are defining moments that help you grow through into sort of the next iteration of yourself and also next iteration of business. I think that's just what growth is in general, whether it's your own personal growth or business growth. Growing pains are a real thing. It's through those challenges. So I think be prepared for that. There is a lot of sacrifice, but the people who are in business, most of them say that the reward is worth it. And also don't underestimate the skills you're learning along the way. Yeah. We weren't qualified to be running a business or,
we don't have an MBA.
Yeah. But you learn so much on the job and along the way that, you might not have a degree in anything after it, but you've got a degree
in life.
A degree in life. Yeah. So I would say that don't underestimate that, because it's quite easy to see other people achieving, our peers achieving different things or at different stages in life, and then don't play that comparison game, because you don't realise how much you will gain from it, regardless of where your business goes or where your idea goes. And probably the final thing would be an idea is great, but for it to be a business, it needs to be more than just an idea. And I think that's where there's a lot of people with good ideas, many people with good ideas, and probably so many good ideas that never eventuate because people don't do something with them. So it will require that push and a bit of hustle and hard work.
Yeah, I think like a little bit of, you kind of just have to take the leap, at some point. Like if you truly believe in your idea and you can really visualize where it can go as a brand. And I think really knowing the ethos and the values that you have for yourself and for your business or your company. Natural Paint Co. has started with the ethos of health, quality and sustainability, the 3 pillars, and we've never moved from those. And so anytime there's any product iteration, it must fit all 3 of those things. Anytime we evolve as a brand, it must fit those 3 things. We are uncompromising on those 3 things as for Natural Paint Co. And I think that's really important to know that before you head in, because there will be times when you are challenged. There will be times where, different investors might want to move that pillar, or customers, might want to move this, or distribution, or COVID, or whatever you get faced with. But you have to know what your company started on, and have those ethics just really built down. So it would probably be one of mine. I think I agree with James. Take that leap of faith. Kind of have the naivety, because I think it's really, that's bliss to have some naivety. But also on the flip side, just know that it's going to be a lot of hard work. It's not just a year of building it up. It's that age old. It's a overnight success that took 15 years. Nothing happens overnight. No. Diamonds are made under pressure, right? So you need to put in the hours and the work in order to get that success. And I think surrounding yourself with really good people. We have not done this alone in the sense of, yes, we're the ones that every day putting it in, but we have a great team behind us. We've built a great team with a great culture, people who believe in the success of the brand. We've got wonderful advisors around us. We've got 184 investors behind us. And so, that's been a big one for us. And I'm going to say it again, but perfection kills progress. You have to just keep moving forward. And what's your one? You say something about motivation, James, that action breeds motivation, not the other way around. Mm-hmm. And we, some days when you're really tired, because as founders, you are really tired. It sometimes feels like you're taking on the world, because you're taking on, you're responsible for every single facet of the brand, and you wear so many hats. And even as you build out the team, you kind of wear those hats and then some more, because now you have people that you're responsible for, and making sure that they're doing a really good job and happy in their workplaces, and so you can't just rely on your motivation to get you out of bed for some days, because some days the highs are amazing, and you're on cloud 9, and then sometimes there's just simply really hard challenges, for all the people in business, COVID, and people in life. COVID's been really challenging. We didn't know we were going to have to go through that, and so I think, action, everyday action breeds that motivation, and then it snowballs, and you just see this thing that you kind of visualized, on that first day. Remember we used to visualize, James, just of what Natural Paint could do, what would it feel like when we got that feedback that people loved the product, and then and then it just keeps going as you build up. Yeah,
be easy on yourself.
Yeah.
I love that action breeding motivation and not the other way around. And as a final thought, what will success be for Natural Paint Co. and for you personally?
Success for Natural Paint Co. will be where I think that Natural Paint Co. has affected change on the industry, and that natural coatings, being paints and oils, are the commonplace, and that the question earlier in the podcast was, this is what we're going to look back on and be we can't believe we ever did it any other way. And I think for us, that's truly what we're trying to do here with Natural Paint Co. is pave the way that this is the future. We're already living in the future of what natural coatings can be, and that for New Zealand, that every Kiwi has access, so accessibility for us. The next evolution of Natural Paint Co. is about accessibility of the products for people, so not just staying in the e-commerce space. And then globally, taking what we have created here in New Zealand to the world, because it shouldn't be kept a secret, because they're so bloody good, and we want everybody to have access to the products that we've created. So that would be success for the business for me. James?
I agree with that. I think a lot of the time when you're in business, you're constantly looking to the next thing, and it's almost, you don't feel like you've maybe not that you haven't achieved success, but that like you can't really celebrate it because it's like, okay, I've got these next things that I'm aiming for, and then it's when you take time and stop and then look back, you can go, oh, we've achieved so much success. There's all these milestones that we never thought, we didn't know we'd get past, or we didn't know we would achieve. So I think there's always sort of success, but it changes the way it looks each time. It's like you accomplish one thing or you get to where you want it to go, and then it's like, okay, where can we take this next? So it's hard to answer because I can only look at it through the lens of where we're at the moment. But in 5 years' time, it'll look different, and then what success will be, what metric of success will be then will be different again. It's that constant growth and evolution.
I have another one. I think in 10 years' time, when you go into someone's garage and it's a Natural Paint Co. bucket, when you've got leftover paint and it used to be other paint companies, I think when it's our one that's sitting there, it's like, hey, that was us.
Or the kid fishing at the wharf, using it as a bait bucket.
And you kind of see it dotted around, and you're like,
nice
hey,
feeling.
That's really cool.
Oh, I love it. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing that future that you two are making. That's so cool. Thanks so much for joining us. That's James Mount and Grace Glass.
Thank you so much.
Cool, thanks.
Cheers. So thank you to Grace and James, to you for listening, and for everyone who helps make this happen, like our producer, Samuel Robinson. Do follow Business is Boring wherever you get your podcasts, and be sure to rate and leave a review if you like what we do. In order.
From the Spin-Off Podcast Network, that was Business is Boring, brought to you by SparkLab. Make sure you're following Business is Boring wherever you get your podcasts. And for more information on SparkLab, visit sparklab.co.nz. Kia ora e te iwi, Te Aihe Butler here, podcast manager at The Spin-Off. If you enjoy listening to our podcasts, consider supporting our mahi by signing up to become a Spin-Off member at thespinoff.co.nz/donate. The Spin-Off Podcast Network.